So recently on the 8.2 PTR, we've had some interesting dungeon changes arise. From Ataldazar to Freehold, King's Rest, Motherlode, and Holdagore. So, just a lot of things to unpack, and we can kind of talk about what some of these end up actually meaning. So first off, we got Ataldazar. Priestess Alunza. Gilded Claws damage bonus increased to 300%. Was 150%. Gilded Claws basically is the buff that Priestess Alunza puts on herself that makes her deal more damage to the tank. Yeah, it makes her deal more physical damage. It can actually be purged off, though, so it's pretty easy to end up dealing with. But that makes the melees on that fight a little bit more challenging, I guess. Corrupted Gold damage increased by 544%. I mean, I personally find all of these numbers very interesting. So Corrupted Gold and Molten Gold are basically the dots. Splattering a player random. Okay, so this is the one that's unavoidable, and this is the one that you get from hitting the ball. So this is the dot that has to be dispelled instantly, and this one it can also be dispelled, but this one is the one that you get hit by the ball. But both of these are 550 or 544 and 667%. Tainted Blood damage increased by 685%. I didn't know that this actually did damage. So basically, whenever you get the pool of blood, whenever she does the transfusion suck, you end up taking damage from the tainted blood plus the transfusion, from what I understand. So that's a thing. So 685%. So overall, they buffed Priestess Alunza by a lot. Overall, this still doesn't make the fight very challenging. You can still just CC the ads, and she just eventually kills herself. So that's not overall not too scary. I guess it makes her a little bit more challenging. You can't pull Reaping into her anymore, but this is 8.2 anyways, so there's not going to be any Reaping to look to deal with. So, interesting change. I think it's kind of random. Alright, Gathered Souls no longer grants healing. So this is the Colossus, so the big golem dude that sits to the left side on the entrance. So Gathered Souls no longer grant healing on an allied death to the damage bonus per stack reduced from 10% was 25%. So basically, whenever the Colossus has a troll that dies near him, I guess he no longer gets health and gets like a health bonus and healing, but instead he gets a damage bonus still, similar to how the bolstering effect ends up working. This makes this Colossus a little bit more manageable to pull. Obviously, with some of the changes we've seen to Beguiling, it might be a little bit better. This Colossus could actually see some pulling, and overall this change is pretty good. Reanimated Honor Guard. Rending Maul periodic damage decreased by 23%. This mob was very challenging to do because the Rending Maul was awful, plus the stuff that it would throw on the ground and shoot at all the people was pretty terrible. Shield Bash. Cooldown reduced. What? Yeah, well, this is weird. Cooldown of 2 seconds removed. Wowhead note this. We don't think this actually does anything. I think I agree with that. That doesn't actually do anything. Freehold. Timer reduced to 33 minutes. Was 36 minutes. Alright, well, that's interesting. So basically, Freehold getting a 3% timer nerf, I can kind of understand why. So Freehold overall, the timer is pretty lax relative to like the mob health and like the dungeon difficulty compared to the timer. 3 minutes off of it seems like a little bit more than I probably would have done. Maybe 2 minutes seems a little bit more reasonable for higher and stuff. But overall, the timer reduction on Freehold kind of makes sense. It makes it way less free, and it punishes you way more for mistakes. Because right now, you could probably time a Freehold with almost like one major mistake, like almost a full wipe, as long as you don't wipe it like on a boss or during a really bad time. So this is going to be fine overall, though not exactly what I was hoping for. But I do understand why. King's Rest. The Golden Serpent. Spit gold damage reduced by 25%. Thank you. Thank you, Lord. The Motherlode. Weapons Tester. Echoing Blade damage reduced by 53%. Okay, so out of all the mobs in the Motherlode that you change or nerf, you nerf the Weapons Tester Echoing Blade. So there's like the Masterminds and the War Machines and all of that, and you choose to nerf Echoing Blade from the Weapons Tester. Okay. I don't really understand that, but I don't. Okay, whatever. Anyways. Toldagore. Heavy Cannon. Heavy cannons now have an energy bar of 100. Each cannon blast costs 20 energy to use. basically, it only allows you to end up using 5 shots out of the cannon before it's no longer usable. So this makes all 5 of those shots have to be very, very important. So that you have to wait for the mobs to be grouped up a little bit more. You have to make sure that you do actually get really good shots. Overall, this is actually I would say this is like a good change. But this creates the health of Toldagor to be better overall. It's going to be kind of obnoxious, but I think this is actually a good change in the long term for Toldagor. It kind of sucks that it's coming in so late, but I do understand. So basically, my thoughts on all of these. Priestess Alunza probably shouldn't. Okay, Priestess Alunza should have been changed in a different way. I think doing all of this is pretty moot. I don't think it actually ends up doing anything. It's just kind of stupid. The Colossus, this is a good change. The reanimated Honor Guard kind of makes sense. I don't think the Shield Bearer ends up doing anything. Freehold, I mean, I could take it or leave it. Like, it's probably fine. The Golden Serpent dot needed to get nerfed. I'm more upset that they haven't nerfed more about King's Rest. Basically, Kula the Butcher, the woman who does the Severing Axe cast, that dot should be nerfed. Dazar's health is a bit high too. And then in addition to that, the Shadow of Zul is just actually just the most terrible mob in the game. And then you got the Berserkers, which also put the physical bleed on you. So all of those are top tier awful. So seeing that the only thing that they nerfed was the Golden Serpent dot kind of sucks, but I'm glad that they did in fact nerf the dot because that was very overtuned. Weapons tester, dude, they could have changed so much more about Motherlode too, similar to the vein of King's Rest. There's so many other mobs they could have ended up changing to make this dungeon a little bit more manageable and doing it in a little bit different of way. So basically right now, Motherlode, you're getting like almost 100% of your count from the mech jockeys and the Peacekeeper pilots. So there's like, you don't do anything on the back half of the instance in the research and development wing, so it's a little bit questionable that the only thing that they end up choosing to nerf is this Echoing Blade. Overall, I think I would have liked to have seen a little bit more tuning on a couple of these dungeons, similar to like what I said about Motherlode and King's Rest. I would have liked to have seen some of the mobs' HP get a little bit of tweaking. I would have also liked to have seen some of the mobs maybe do a little bit less damage, like the Berserkers. Those do a pretty sizable amount of damage, so those are some things. Highlights of this, Spit Gold, that shit had to get nerfed. Toldagor cannon changes, I would say that's pretty good. The Colosses and the Taldazar can now be pulled, and the reanimated Honor Guards don't just absolutely destroy you the whole entire time, so also a good thing. Overall, these are good changes, but I think there's about half as many as I would have liked to have personally seen. Freehold one seems kind of out of place relative to, like, I don't know. The Freehold one does seem kind of out of place overall, but I can kind of understand why it ends up happening. So those are just my opinions on the matter, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I will see you guys later.